to here.
In my house?
In her home.
No, you haven't. Don't start. Yeah, we'll talk about this later. Hi friends, welcome back. If you're new here, hi, my name is Shayna, and in my little corner of the internet we talk about spooky history of all kinds. And today I have a special guest who's going to be giving us a story time of her paranormal experiences. So I'm super excited for you to meet her. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay everyone, here's our special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shayna's mom, Teresa, otherwise known as Momo to the grandbabies.
How would you want them to call you as Momo?
The grandbabies.
I mean the people. Okay, well, she has some paranormal experiences that she is going to be telling us today. She has a lot more than I do. You have two places you're going to talk about, right? 2 homes?
Yes. Actually 3.
3 homes.
Mm-hmm.
3 homes. And we're going to talk about all 3 homes because some experiences in certain homes weren't as many as others. So we're just going to kind of combine them all. And then she has another story that'll be in another video where she's talking about tombstones. So
I have videos for that.
yeah, we have videos. Hopefully we'll be able to put them in the video, but she's got quite a few, so try to get all that figured out whenever the time comes. So in this video, I guess you want to talk about growing up a little bit, where you grew up.
Right, where my first experience was. All right, so a little bit about myself. My mom and dad had the house. My older brother, me, and my younger brother all lived there and grew up there. We all shared one room where they had a bunk bed on one side of the room, and I had another bed on the opposite side, and then we had dressers back to back to kind of give me a little bit of privacy. Basically where my bed was, I was in the middle of the actual house, and we had like a walk-through closet that went from our bedroom to their bedroom. They had a door on their side and we did not.
So you're trapped. Essentially,
no, there was a door going out of the bedroom, but you know. Basically 5 people living in a 2-bedroom house. That home basically was built by a great-grandfather somewhere down the line, and he built it for his wife and eventually moved it from being out in the country to in town. I was probably about 10 or 11 around that time. The way my bed was sitting dead center in the house for the most part. I would hear this music and a woman laughing. So I went ahead and I thought, well, is that mom and dad? Because, you know, I'm right up next to their wall. So I got up and I didn't hear it anymore. And I go in there and I thought, oh, they must have heard me get up or something like that. And things were quiet. I went in there sound asleep. So I went back around. I looked out the windows, out the front door, out the side door, or the side windows on the opposite side of the house, and then back into our bedroom window and looked outside. There was nothing, no sound whatsoever. I get back in my bed and I can hear it again. And it's almost like it was coming from the attic. In that walk-through closet, you can either go down under the house for safety. There's a door up there for the attic as well. Parents had the top part of the closet, we had the bottom part, and then there were shelves on the opposite side, and where we have our games and shoes and stuff like that. It was a fairly large closet. I remember it would keep me up so late. I was like, oh, I gotta go to school in the morning. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Someone partying in the attic.
Yeah. Just music. I mean, it was almost like party music, but it wasn't of the music I grew up. Yeah. And then just a woman laughing, like she was conversing with someone and she was just laughing and having a good time. But it was real faint. It just kind of sounded like a radio from a different era. After about the 3rd night, I was like, would you please let me get some sleep? I have school in the morning. And it just like stopped. It was just gone.
Brothers?
Nobody else heard it. Nobody else was awake. Nobody else heard it.
So it didn't keep anyone else up.
Nope. Just me. So I thought that was weird how I could say it there in the house and then it just stopped. After that, instead of it being 1, 2 o'clock in the morning before it stopped, it actually stopped more like it between 9 and 10. It was like it was just dead. There was no sound whatsoever unless a car went by or something.
So
no
it was
music.
being considerate.
No, right. It was started to be considerate.
It's like, oh wait.
And I still had no idea where it came from because I was only like 10 or 11. I was just like, that was so weird how it just stopped because I said something out loud and, you know, it's like, give me a break. So tired after the 3rd night. But yeah, that was the only experience that I remember having in that house.
How long did you live in that house?
I lived in that house until about 6th or 7th grade. We moved to the house out in the country.
Okay, so let's talk about the house that's out in the country now.
So the house out in the country is basically an unfinished basement. I got my own room. The boys still had to share, but it was a 3-bedroom house, concrete with a flat roof, because the people had so many problems when they were building it that they ended up running out of money. So they had to sell it.
That stinks.
Yeah. When we moved in, I don't know if this was a scare tactic or not, but someone had said they had found human remains out there, and so they figured it was probably like an Indian burial site or something. Back to the house, basically all the windows were just above the ground on both sides of the house, and it was an L shape where the front door is, and then the back slide doors, everything else was underground. In my bedroom, where there was an experience, I have a top part of a bunk bed that I slept on, so I had storage underneath, and my closet was right next to me. And then there was a window that was back behind my head if I sat up. And my dog Jigs, he would sleep there at night because he knew that was my room. How he knew that was my room? That's an animal thing. Outside.
Oh.
So it's like if I hear...
I was really confused. Okay.
If I was to hear something, I'd look up and I could see him laying right by that window. And it's just a rectangular window that you would just slide back and forth.
Upper
That's
one.
all. Very small, but it was...
Well, you'd be safe from all the tornadoes that came our way.
Somewhat, yes. Yes. Unless the roof came off, and then
That wouldn't be good.
our parents had bought it. It had a well out there. They had installed a wood-burning stove. It had a rock fireplace in the den. There was like the living room, and then there was a den. But you'll see a massive hallway where we had like a piano and stuff. So where another experience happened. There was only really 2 experiences in the house.
Creepy though.
2 experiences, yes.
Would have made me pee my pants.
When we moved there in 7th and 8th grade, I had a sleepover. A girl named Bobby. She came over, and I'm sitting in one chair, she's sitting in another, and there's that huge hallway where the piano is. Both of us are watching TV, everyone else is in bed. All of a sudden we see someone with like long brown hair and like a white nightgown that showed the ankles, older era. It just stood there. I remember I could just see it out of the peripheral. I blinked and looked over, and there was no one there. And I looked over at Bobby and I said, "Was my mom right there?" And she goes, "I think so." She goes, "I saw someone over there." I was like, "In a white gown?" She's like, "Yeah, brown hair." It's like, okay. Walked from the living room all the way to the L shape, all the way to the back end where the bedroom is. My mom was asleep, and she was in some kind of patterned nightgown. Everybody was still sleeping.
And she had shorter hair at the
Yeah,
time.
she had shorter hair, but more length than mine, not long down to here, which didn't even dawn on me, neither of us, because we just saw someone standing there. But to me, it seemed to be someone younger. So I didn't know if maybe they wanted to
Participate?
join our slumber party or what it was. And I was like, okay, that's very odd. Basically, her and I, we pretty much stayed awake most of the night because we were like, wonder if she's going to come back or what did we really see. Another experience, my grandmother was in the hospital. She was very close to the end, and she was in a lot of pain, no circulation. So when we went to see her, there was a lot of screaming. She was in a lot of pain. Mom knew that it was close to the end, so she had us go visit her and everything. We said a prayer over her. We walked out, was going to go home. Well, right across from her room was a water fountain. I took a drink, said a little prayer, and said, please just take her if she's not going to be able to be cured. Well, then my 2 aunts come walking into her room, make sure she's not by herself. And then as I go to leave, they come rushing out. As I get down the hallway to the hospital, I see a doctor and my 2 aunts go. We go on out, drive to our country home. I was just exhausted for some reason. We had been at the pool, but I was just so exhausted. At that point, I was like, man, I could take a nap. I don't know what's wrong. I just didn't feel right. And so I went ahead and laid down. I remember having a dream of my grandmother. She was Indian, and she had white hair at this time, and it was cut short, kind of like mine. But she was in white sweats, white brick road, like a sidewalk type thing. But I thought that was kind of weird. Why is it a white brick road? So I was thinking, okay, I'm just dreaming. And it was nothing but white clouds on both sides of her. I thought, oh, that's great. You know, I didn't even realize I was dreaming. I thought she was, you know.
Better?
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. Anyways, the phone rings. The way my mom was talking, I come out and I said, she's gone, isn't she? And she's like, yeah. But I was okay with it because I felt like she came to me, I got to see her, and I knew she was okay. That was the second thing that happened. The next thing I believe happened was my other grandma. I had went and got blood tests done. The doctor had left my blood out instead of put it in the refrigerator, so I had to go back a second time. My grandmother, who lived in a neighboring state, who had been staying with us, she had to go back to her state to get like her hair and her car maintenance. She had appointments and stuff, and then she was going to take me back over to the doctor's and get my blood work done again. Well, her and I got into it. I said something I wish I hadn't.
She was unhappy with the grandma, so she made a comment that you make when you are like, what, 13, 12? When you're really mad at somebody. And so she ended up getting in an accident. She asked for her grandmother to wake up, and she ended up waking up so that you could talk to her. For how many days?
She woke up for about 20 hours. I don't think it was a full 24 hours. And then she went back into a coma and passed away 3 days later.
At least she had that closure, so now you don't feel guilty about it, which it's not your fault.
Right.
Things happen. It was just very, very bad timing.
Yeah.
That was a very emotional experience.
And then I had...
Was this at the same house?
Yes.
Okay.
Same house. In my bedroom, I had a visitor.
This is the creepiest. It's really not that. I mean, to me, it's creepy because, yeah, you'll see.
In the same house, it was like middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I hear there's like hangers banging up against my closet. And again, the closet is just off to the side from me and it's wide open. There's no doors on it. And then my dresser is up against the wall over here. Thinking my mom is just hanging up
Your clothes.
Hanging up my clothes that she, because she worked nights and stuff. So I make that, like, don't wake me, you're being too loud. And then I heard it again. I looked over and I thought it was my little brother in a 20s baseball uniform with a baseball cap turned around, and I popped up and I go, James, and he turned around and looked at me and scurried right up my closet. You could hear the hangers banging and and he was gone. I popped up out of bed, I turned on the light, and I looked up in my closet. I was freaked out.
Thought he was playing a joke. I really hope he watches this one.
I freaked out and I was mad. But I was like, how did he do that?
It didn't dawn on her that it wasn't Uncle James.
And then I realized when there was nobody there in my closet.
I bet that freaked you out a little bit.
I did. I got back in bed and I just, like, under the cover.
I wouldn't have turned the light off.
And we'll go back to this house, another story, because it has to do with the people who bought the house.
So the third house is what we're going to talk about now, which did you give me a diagram for that one?
No, it's just an apartment.
Okay, is this the one in Maine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the apartment, there's basically 4 apartments and they're attached to a convenience store. My mom and stepdad owned them. My husband at the time, her dad, we ended up moving up there so I give birth to her and be closer to family there. She was born and then he was coming back to get settled so that we could all
coming back to Kansas. Because we were in Maine at this time.
Needless to say, newborn Shayna, she was on a couch that you could pull out and make into a bed. It was like an old leather, probably from the 50s or 60s. And I believe I had Flintstones playing. I always had Flintstones playing for her. I'm in the kitchen. And there's a doorway here to the bedrooms. There's a doorway to the living room. Back behind me would be where the bathroom is. I'm facing the kitchen and there is like where there used to be a window before they blocked it off. Anyways, we were the only ones living in the apartments at the time. And we were down in the biggest one. Shayna is asleep. She's just a few months old. She's on the bed. I'm doing dishes and there's a silver 4-slice toaster right here that I have in that window. That is just boarded up. I hear this thump, 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 and I'm like, what is that noise? And so I go and I check on her. I go and I look out the apartment door. Don't know where it's coming from. It just sounds like it's coming from behind me. So I go ahead and I continue doing dishes, and again I hear this thump, 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 and I caught something out of the corner of my eye in the toaster, and I saw it was a ball. It was hitting the floor, hitting the wall, and then nothing. The floor, wall, nothing. Floor, wall, nothing. I sit there and I was like, what am I looking at? And I turned around, and as I turned around, I saw it. I started walking in there and there's nothing. There's no ball, there's no nothing. And I'm sitting there going, where did this white ball come from? So I'm thinking, okay, maybe my grandmother is watching over her. And I said, whoever's here, you're watching over Shayna, and I greatly appreciate you helping me since I'm all alone. And I just went back in there. I think another time, a couple weeks later, same thing. She was in there and I heard this thump thump, and I just hollered, thank you, and just left it at that. I was just like, I just felt like somebody was with me and watching over you while I did dishes. And they were bored, like they wanted her to wake up so they could watch her play or something.
To me,
I
it
don't
sounds
know.
like a kid doing that, bored. You know what I mean? I used to
Just
do
a
that
ball.
when I was bored.
We'll see.
Or wall and
They
floor.
embedded it in her at a young age. So let's fast forward. The people that actually bought the home,
The
dog.
L-shaped home.
Yes, the country home. We moved back to Kansas. She happened to work in a convenience store where I met her dad. Anyway, she was working there and I went in and asked her how things were going, you know. She goes, we bought that house off of you. I said, what? She goes, we bought that house off of you out in the country. And I go, yeah. She goes, anything strange ever happen over there? And I go, yeah. She goes, just to you? And I said, yeah. She goes, well, I was having someone over spend the night. So we're sitting there and all of a sudden in that big hallway, there was a girl in a gown. I said, with long brown hair. She goes, yes. Okay, yeah. I said, that's the same thing. And I said, that's why I kind of felt like, you know, slumber party they wanted to join.
Now she doesn't feel crazy.
She felt so relieved. She's like, oh, thank heaven. She goes, I thought I was losing my mind. She goes, and then, you know the room that has the pink carpet? And I go, yeah, that was my room. She goes, it was mine too. She goes, you have anything happen in the closet? And I said, yeah. She goes, a boy. And we both said, baseball uniform. And she goes, with the hat turned around. I said, and he scurried up the closet. She goes, yes. Oh my gosh. It was just funny that I was like so glad, you know, that it happened because she was about the age that it happened to me as well. And then finally the house that I live in now is a mobile home. My father passed away at 3:33 in the afternoon. I know I was there. It's not when they pronounced him dead. And then when I got out to my truck, that was the mileage on my truck from going from my hometown to where the main hospital was and then bringing him back to a different hospital. So that was the mileage on my truck, which I felt was kind of like a sign. On the day of his funeral, I was getting ready and he used to smoke. Our smoke detector went off and I could see where we have like dual sinks. I was over on my husband's side. You could see the smoke detector through the door on the wall behind me in the bedroom and it went off. I stopped what I was doing, turned around and it stopped. I turned back around, completed what I do and it went off. And I said, Dad, if that's you, I love you. And it went off, beeped, and didn't go off again. Another time it did it. My husband was home that time and he was like, why is this thing going off? I just put a new battery in it. I said, oh, it's Dad. I said, love you, Dad. And my husband's like trying to take it apart to see why it's going off. And I was like, I'm telling you, it was just Dad. And it stopped. He goes, that was the weirdest thing I ever saw. I was like, maybe we need a new one. I don't know. But I mean, he died in 2009 and either close to the day that he passed away or close to his birthday or sometimes both, it will go off. And it went off the other day when I was doing my notes for the show because all the way home I was like, can't forget about Dad. I can't forget about Dad. I can't forget about Dad. All my notes, nothing about Dad. The next morning I was getting ready and that smoke detector went off and I said, oh, I forgot Dad. I'm so sorry. Those were my experiences with that. I've had an experience here to here.
In my house?
In her home.
No, you haven't.
Since I went to
No, you haven't.
Since I went to Tombstone.
Don't start.
So
You did not bring anything into my house. Great. Stuff she hasn't told me.
I did too.
No, you
said
didn't.
You didn't want to hear it.
That's because my home is my sanctuary. I don't need nothing in my home. Yeah, we'll talk about this later.
She's worried about things following her. She's not worried about things following other people to her house.
Well, you know, as long as they leave when you leave, I'm okay with that. I just don't want them here permanently. Did you have any other stories or things that you could think of?
No. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting to tell it.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's fine. It didn't bother me.
It took me a little bit to get
I had
used
a
to
lot.
talking to a camera.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that you're actually talking to everyone that's watching.
Now that I'm older, sometimes I talk to myself. So I just, don't think much about it.
Just admit it to the entire world you're crazy.
I don't answer myself.
Oh, okay.
That's the difference.
It's okay. Sometimes I answer myself. Oh, Whatever, it's all good. But
Down the line, she's going to have video of stuff that I had captured at Tombstone, things that have happened there. I've been there 2 or 3 times I've went.
I think you went there twice.
Yeah,
She
I
got
would go to
some ghost tours and stuff.
Yeah, had a blast.
So that will be in another video. But anyways, I think that's going to be it for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not already. Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
This feels weird. I'm used to just talking to myself.
Usually the same height.
Yeah, I'm
so.
sitting on what I usually sit on, which is it's my vanity makeup thing, and my mom is sitting on my husband's gaming chair. She gets the comfy one, and I get the hard wooden one, but it's all good.
Contact her. Maybe she'll interview you and put you in a comfy chair.
Anyways, that's it for us today, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.
I feel like I'm a lot taller than you.
It's okay. You can just say, she turned 51, so she's shrinking.
I had to have record on, didn't I?
You have record on right now?
Yes.
I do see the red dot. 6th or 7th grade. And then we moved to the house out in the country.
You're gonna have to repeat that, because the cat.
Ghost cat. She didn't have her bed behind her anymore, so I was teasing her. It's almost like spooky history, ghost cat. And then the dog disappear, appear. Cleaning
I'm
themselves.
gonna have to have a bloopers on this video.
Most people that know me would just want me to wear a shirt that says blooper.